Dr. Lee Hannah pressed her face against the observation window and watched the crystal formations glow in the alien sunlight. The surface of Kepler-4 to be looked like a jeweler's dream, with purple and blue crystals stretching as far as the eye could see. But these were not ordinary crystals. These were alive. Computer, begin recording, Hannah said, adjusting her lab coat. 47 on Kepler-4 for 2b. The crystalline structures are showing clear signs of organized behavior. She had been on this remote planet for 2 months now, sent by Earth's Deep Space Research Division to study what satellites had detected as unusual mineral formations. What she found was far more incredible than anyone back home could imagine. The crystals were not just alive. Hannah walked over to her equipment table and picked up a small device that looked like a metal wand. When she pointed it at the nearest crystal cluster, the machine started beeping in a steady rhythm. The beeps were not random. They had patterns, like a language. The electromagnetic pulses are definitely communication, she whispered to herself. They are sharing information across the entire crystal field. Captain Park Ji-ho would be very interested in this discovery. He commanded the Earth Defense Fleet ship that had brought her here, the UES Discovery. His ship was currently orbiting the planet, waiting for her monthly report. Hannah had met Captain Park during the long journey to Kepler-4 for 2b. He was a serious man who took his duty seriously, but he had a kind smile. When she told him about her work with alien life, his eyes lit up with curiosity. Most military officers found her research boring, but not Park. Dr. Lee, came a voice from her communication device. This is Captain Park. Are you ready for today's check-in? Hannah picked up the device and smiled. Perfect timing, Captain. I have amazing news. Go ahead, Doctor. They are not just crystals. They are a collective intelligence, a single mind spread across thousands of crystal formations. I think I'm looking at the first confirmed alien intelligence humanity has ever discovered. There was silence from the communication device for several seconds. Then Park's voice came back, filled with excitement. Doctor, are you completely certain about this? I have been monitoring their communication patterns for weeks, respond to changes in their environment as a group. When I moved one crystal yesterday, crystals on the other side of the continent changed their pulse patterns within minutes. They knew something had happened. This is incredible news. Earth Command will want a full report immediately. Kana looked out at the crystal field again. The formations seemed to pulse brighter when she spoke, as if they could sense her presence. Captain, I think they know we are here. I think they have been watching us. Are they dangerous? No, I do not think so. They seem curious about us, just like we are curious about them. I want to try establishing contact. Doctor, please be careful. We are very far from home. Hannah spent the next 3 days working on a way to communicate with the crystal beings. She learned that they called themselves the Valari, though she was not sure how she learned this. The knowledge seemed to appear in her mind when she spent time near the crystals. The Valari were ancient. They had existed on this planet for millions of years, slowly growing and learning. They had watched the stars and wondered about other forms of life. When human ships first appeared in their system, they had been excited. Finally, other thinking beings had come to visit. On the 4th day, Hannah made her biggest breakthrough. She managed to establish two-way communication with the Valari. It was not speech or writing. The information simply appeared in her mind. When she touched certain crystals, the Valari told her they had knowledge about faster-than-light travel that did not use the same methods as human ships. They had knowledge about energy sources that could power entire civilizations. They wanted to share this knowledge with humanity. Hannah was so excited she could barely contain herself. She immediately contacted Captain Park. Captain, you need to come down here right now. They want to share their technology with us. This could change everything for humanity. I I'm preparing a shuttle now. Doctor, this is the most important discovery in human history. But their celebration was cut short. Long-range sensors on the EU's Discovery detected ships approaching the system. They were not human ships. The vessels were angular and dark, moving in formation like a military fleet. Captain Park was halfway to the planet's surface when his communications officer contacted him. Captain, we have 12 unknown vessels entering the system. They are not responding to our communication attempts. Park's shuttle changed course and returned to his ship immediately. Dr. Lee, stay in your research station. Lock the doors and do not come out until I give you the all clear. The alien ships belonged to the Corvan Empire, a military alliance that had been expanding aggressively through this part of the galaxy. They had claimed this star system as their territory, even though no one lived here except the Valari. The Corvan commander, Vex Malachar, was not interested in diplomacy. His orders were simple: remove any obstacles to Corvan expansion. The human research station was an obstacle. Human vessel, came a transmission in broken English. You are in Corvan space. Leave now or be destroyed. Captain Park tried to explain. We are peaceful researchers. We discovered intelligent life on this planet. They are not your enemies. All life in Corvan space belongs to Corvan Empire. You have 1 hour to leave. Park knew he could not fight 12 warships with one research vessel. He contacted Earth Command, but help was weeks away. He had to make an impossible choice. Dr. Lee, he said over the communication system, we have to evacuate. Pack only your most important research and get to the emergency shuttle. But Hannah refused to leave. Captain, I cannot abandon the Valari. They trust me. The Corvans want this planet. They will destroy the crystal formations. Doctor, that is an order. Captain, I cannot obey that order. The Corvan ships opened fire without warning. They targeted the research station first, knowing that destroying it would send a clear message to the human ship. Hannah was killed instantly when the energy beams struck her laboratory. Her last act was uploading her research data to Captain Park's ship, hoping that someone would continue her work. The Valari felt her death like a physical pain. The human who had spoken with them, who had shown them kindness, was gone. They tried to fight back. Their crystal bodies were not built for war. Captain Park watched helplessly as the Corvan ships destroyed everything on the planet's surface. Then they turned their weapons on his ship. He barely escaped with his crew's lives. When news of Dr. Lee Hana's death reached Earth, there was anger and sadness. But Ambassador Kim Mingi convinced the Earth Council to seek a diplomatic solution. One tragedy should not start an interstellar war. The Corvan Empire offered a small payment for the accidental death of the human researcher. They claimed their commander had misunderstood this situation. Earth accepted this explanation. Captain Park disagreed with this decision, but he followed orders. However, he never forgot what he had seen. He never forgot Dr. Lee Hana or the Valari. The Corvan Empire thought they had taught humanity a lesson about staying out of their territory. They thought humans were weak because they accepted an apology instead of seeking revenge. They were wrong about humanity. They just did not know it yet. 5 years had passed since Dr. Lee Hana died on Kepler-4 for it to be. The galaxy had settled into an uncomfortable quiet. Like the moment before a storm, Dr. Choi Sung-woo sat in his secret laboratory. Deep inside the Titan research station orbiting Saturn, he stared at the glowing crystal fragment on his desk. This was one of the few pieces of Valari crystal that Captain Park had managed to save from the destroyed planet. Seung-woo had been Hannah's closest friend since their university days. They had studied together, dreamed together about finding alien life, and worked together on dozens of research projects. When she died, a part of him died too, but Hannah's work lived on through him. "Good morning, friends," Sung-woo whispered to the crystal. The fragment pulsed with soft blue light. And suddenly, his mind filled with gentle thoughts that were not his own. The Valari were not completely gone. Some of them had survived the Corvan attack by hiding deep underground. The crystal fragment was their way of staying connected to the survivors on their home planet. It was also their way of talking to humans. Over the past 3 years, Sungu had learned to communicate clearly with the Valari. They had taught him things that Earth's greatest scientists could not imagine. The Valari understood space and time in ways that humans were just beginning to discover. "Show me the communication method again," Sungu said to the crystal. But knowledge flowed into his mind like water. The Valari had developed a way to send messages instantly across any distance. It did not matter if you were on Earth or on the other side of the galaxy. The messages arrived at the same time they were sent. Human scientists called this impossible. Thea said nothing could travel faster than light. But the Valari did not send their messages through normal space. They sent them through something else, something deeper. Sungu had been working on building a device that could use this Valari method. If he succeeded, it would change everything about how humans explored space. A soft chime from his computer interrupted his thoughts. Someone was requesting permission to enter his laboratory. Sungu quickly covered the crystal with a cloth and checked his security monitor. Captain Park Ji-ho stood outside his door. But Park was not a captain anymore. 5 years of building Earth's space defenses had earned him the rank of admiral. "Come in, Admiral," Sungu said, opening the door. Park entered the laboratory and looked around carefully. He had visited many times over the years, but he always seemed nervous about being discovered. "Any progress with our friends?" Park asked quietly. Sungu uncovered the crystal. "They have been teaching me about their communication technology. I think I am close to building a working device." Park's eyes lit up with interest. "How close?" "Maybe 6 months. The theory is incredibly complex, but the Valari are patient teachers." As if responding to their conversation, the crystal pulsed brighter. Images appeared in both men's minds. The images showed Corvan ships moving through space, lots of them, heading toward different human colonies. "What are they showing us?" Park asked. Sungu concentrated on the images. The Valari were sharing information they had gathered from their hidden sensors across the galaxy. "The Corvan Empire is planning something big." Tay had been moving ships into position for months. The images showed 3 human colonies: New Sol on Proxima Centauri B, the mining station on Kepler 186f, and the newest research facility on TRAPPIST 1e. All 3 were surrounded by Corvan ships hiding in asteroid fields and behind moons. "They are going to attack all 3 at the same time," Sungu said, his voice filled with worry. Park stood up straight, his military training taking over. When more images flowed from the crystal, the Valari showed them Corvan supply ships, troop movements, and communication signals. "Soon? Maybe 2 weeks." Park immediately activated his personal communication device. "This is Admiral Park. I need an emergency meeting with Earth Command. Priority Alpha." While Park made his calls, Sungu asked the crystal more questions. "Why are the Corvans attacking now? What changed?" The answer made his blood run cold. The Corvan Empire had been watching human activities for 5 years, had seen Earth build new ships and establish new colonies. But instead of seeing this as normal growth, they saw it as a threat. The Corvans believed humans were preparing for war. They decided to strike first before humanity could become too strong. "Admiral," Sungu said urgently, "the Valari say the Corvans think we are planning to attack them. They want to destroy our colonies before we can build a fleet strong enough to threaten them." Park finished his call and turned back to Sungu. "Earth Command is sending warning messages to all 3 colonies, but it will take weeks for the messages to arrive. The colonies will have no time to prepare unless we use Valari communication," Sungu said. Park stared at him. Is your device ready? Not the full device, but I might be able to send a simple message. The Valari can help me focus the signal. Seung Woo worked frantically for the next 6 hours. He connected his experimental equipment to the Valari crystal and asked his alien friends to help him reach the human colonies. The first message was sent to Nu Seoul. It was only 3 words: Corvins, coming soon. The colony commander, General Yoon Dae-ho, received the message and immediately began evacuation procedures. When Corvin ships attacked 2 weeks later, they found an empty colony and a surprise waiting for them. General Yoon had hidden defensive weapons throughout the colony. The Corvin landing force was destroyed. The second message reached the Kepler 186F mining station just in time. The miners abandoned their equipment and fled to hidden shelters. When the Corvins arrived, they found valuable mining equipment, but no humans to kill. But the third message, sent to Trappist-1E, arrived too late. Seung Woo was still working on his communication device when the crystal on his desk suddenly turned dark red. Pain filled his mind, not his own pain, but the pain of others. What is happening? Park asked. The research station, Sung Woo said, tears running down his face. The Corvins attacked early. Everyone there is dead. The images from the Valari showed the truth. Commander Kang Jin-ho and his team of 30 researchers had been killed while trying to protect their work. The Corvins had not just destroyed the station. They had taken prisoners and executed them as an example to other humans. Park's face turned stone cold. How many Corvins were involved in the attack? The Valari showed them the battle. 3 Corvin warships had attacked the defenseless research station. After killing everyone, they had broadcast a message to Earth. The message was simple: humans will stay in human space, enter Corvin territory again, and die. But this time, something was different about Earth's response. Ambassador Kim Mingi, who had pushed for peace 5 years ago, was no longer in charge of human diplomacy. The new Earth Council had different ideas about how to deal with the Corvin Empire. President Lee Jun-seok addressed the Earth Council with hard eyes and a harder voice. 5 years ago, they killed Dr. Lee Hanna, and we showed mercy. We believed their lies about miscommunication. Now, they have killed Commander Kang Jin-ho and 30 innocent researchers. They sent us a message about staying in human space. The president paused and looked around the council chamber. I think it is time we sent them a message back. Admiral Park received his new orders 3 days later. Earth Command was authorizing the construction of the largest military fleet in human history. The Valari communication technology would be installed in every ship. Earth's colonies would be defended by weapons the Corvins had never seen. Sung Woo continued his work with renewed purpose. The Valari shared more of their knowledge, including technologies that could make human ships nearly indestructible. They had watched the Corvins destroy life across the galaxy for centuries. They were ready to help humanity fight back. But the biggest change was not in technology or military strategy. The biggest change was in humanity itself. For 5 years, humans had been patient and peaceful. They had tried to avoid conflict and find diplomatic solutions. The Corvin Empire had mistaken this patience for weakness. Now, they would learn the difference between choosing not to fight and being unable to fight. The galaxy was about to discover what humans were really capable of when they stopped holding back. Dr. Choi Seung-woo stood in his new laboratory on Research Station Alpha. Floating in the empty space where Kepler-4 to be used to orbit Earth, had built this station as a memorial to Dr. Lee, Hanna, and as a home for the surviving Valeri. The station was beautiful. Its walls were made of transparent aluminum, allowing everyone inside to see the stars. In the center of the station grew a garden of Valari crystals, the survivors that Captain Park had rescued years ago. They had grown larger and more complex, creating patterns that looked like frozen music. Good morning, friends. Sun Wu said to the crystals, as he did every day. The crystals pulsed with warm light, a quarrel, and voices filled his mind. Not one voice, but hundreds. The Valari had been growing their population slowly, each new crystal adding to their collective intelligence. We have troubling news. Sun-G-Wu. The Valari spoke directly into his thoughts. The Corvins are moving. Again. This time, they are not hiding. Swang Wu walked to his communication station and activated the Valerian Hans transmitter he had finally perfected. Admiral Park, this is Research Station Alpha. We have an urgent situation. Admiral Park's voice came through clearly, even though his ship was 3 star systems away. The Valari communication technology made distance meaningless. Go ahead, Doctor. What are you seeing? The Valari are detecting massive Corvin fleet movements. They are not trying to hide this time. Looks like they are preparing for open war. How massive are we talking about? Sun Wu closed his eyes and let the Valari share their sensor data with him. What he saw made his heart race with fear. Admiral, they have assembled over 300 warships. Okay. This is not a raid or a punishment. This is an invasion fleet. There was silence on the communication channel for several seconds. Then Park's voice returned, grim and focused. Doctor, I need you to evacuate Research Station Alpha immediately. Take the Valari with you. Admiral, we cannot just run. The Valari have been working on something important. They think they can help us fight the Corvins. Doctor, 300 ships is more than our entire fleet. We need time to prepare. But time was something they did not have. The Valari suddenly sent urgent images into Sun Wu's mind. Corvin ships were already moving toward 3 targets. Research Station Alpha, a new Sol colony, and the industrial shipyards at Wolf 359. Admiral, they are attacking right now. 3 separate fleets heading for 3 different targets. It's possible. Our long-range sensors show nothing. The Corvins have new stealth technology. The Valari can see them, but our sensors cannot. Sun Wu ran to his emergency console and began sending evacuation orders to his team. Research Station Alpha had 57 people aboard, including the most brilliant scientists from Earth. They could not all die here. Dr. Kim Soyoung, report to the shuttle bay immediately, he announced over the station intercom. Emergency. Evacuation procedures are now in effect. Dr. Kim was his second-hand young woman who had volunteered to work with the Valari, despite the obvious dangers. She arrived at the shuttle bay within minutes, but her face was pale with worry. Dr. Choi, the evacuation shuttles are not working. Someone has sabotaged the engines. Sun Wu felt ice form in his stomach. What do you mean sabotaged? The fuel lines have been cut. All 4 shuttles are disabled. Please, this was not an accident. Someone on the station was working for the Corvins. Someone had trapped them here to die. Doctor, came Admiral Park's voice over the communication system. I am detecting energy signatures approaching your position. Multiple large vessels dropping out of stealth mode through the transparent walls of the station. Sun Wu could see space beginning to distort. Dark shapes appeared like shadows, becoming solid. 12 Corvin warships surrounded Research Station Alpha, their weapons already charging. Admiral, we are trapped. The shuttles have been sabotaged, and we are surrounded. Doctor, I am sending every ship I have to your location, but they will not arrive in time. Sun Wu looked at his team of scientists and researchers. These were good people who had volunteered to work in dangerous space because they believed in the importance of the research. They did not deserve to die like this, but the Valari had other ideas. Sun Wu, their collective voice filled his mind. We have learned much from studying human courage. Dr. Lee Hanna died protecting us. Now we will protect you. The Valari crystals in the station's garden began to glow brighter than ever before. The light was not just visible, it was affecting the space around the station itself. What are they doing? Dr. Kim asked, staring at the crystals. I do not know, Sun Wu said. But even as he spoke, knowledge flowed into his mind from the Valari. The crystals were using their understanding of space and time to create a protective barrier around the station. It was similar to the technology they used for instant communication, but instead of sending messages, they were bending reality itself. The Corvan ships opened fire, sending streams of deadly energy toward the research station. But something impossible happened. The energy beams curved around the station like water flowing around a rock. How is that possible? Dr. Kim whispered. The Valari answered in Sun Wu's mind. We are showing the universe that this space belongs to us. The Corvan weapons cannot touch what we protect, but the protective barrier required enormous energy. The Valari were burning themselves out to save the humans. Sun Wu could feel their pain as they pushed their crystalline bodies beyond their limits. Friends, you are killing yourselves to save us, he said to the crystals. Some things are worth dying for, the Valari replied. Dr. Lee Hanna taught us this. Corvan commander was furious. His ships had enough firepower to destroy a moon, but they could not penetrate the strange barrier around the human station. He ordered his vessels to close in and use physical rams to break through. That was when Admiral Park arrived. The human fleet that appeared in the system was unlike anything the Corvans had seen before. The ships moved with perfect coordination, as if controlled by a single mind. They communicated instantly across vast distances and responded to threats before the Corvans could even target them. But what shocked the Corvans most was the firepower. Human weapons had always been primitive compared to Corvan technology. These new human ships carried weapons that could crack a planet's crust. Corvan vessels, came Admiral Park's voice on all communication channels. You are attacking a peaceful research station. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. The Corvan commander laughed. Humans still thought they could negotiate. Human Admiral, your species had its chance for peace. Today, you'll learn the price of defying the Corvan Empire. The battle that followed was brief but decisive. The new human ships moved like dancers, avoiding Corvan weapons while delivering devastating counterattacks. Within 30 minutes, 11 of the 12 Corvan ships were destroyed. The last ship tried to flee but was captured by Admiral Park's flagship. But the victory came at a terrible cost. The Valari had exhausted themselves maintaining the protective barrier. One by one, the crystals in the station's garden began to dim and go dark. Seunq knelt beside the largest crystal, tears streaming down his face. Thank you, friends. Thank you for saving us. Do not mourn for us. Sun Wu, came the fading voice of the Valari collective. We go to join Dr. Lee Hanna in whatever comes after life. Our gift to humanity will live on. Use our technology wisely. Show the galaxy that intelligence and kindness are stronger than violence. The last Valari crystal flickered once and went dark. Dr. Kim put her hand on Sun Wu's shoulder. Dr. Admiral Park is requesting communication. Sun Wu wiped his eyes and activated the communication system. Admiral, the Valari are gone. They died protecting us. Doctor, I am sorry for your loss, but I need you to know something important. The attacks on New Sol and Wolf 359 were successful. The Corvans destroyed both targets before we could stop them. Over 2,000 humans are dead. Sun Wu felt rage building in his chest, a rage deeper than anything he had ever experienced. How many Corvans were involved in all 3 attacks? Our analysis shows approximately 50 ships total across all 3 target zones. And how many Corvan crew members survived the battles? Admiral Park was quiet for a moment. None, Doctor. We took no prisoners. For the first time in 5 years, Sun Wu smiled a cold, hard smile. Good. 2 days later, President Yoon Dae-ho stood before the United Earth Council. His words were simple, but carried the weight of an entire species' anger. 5 years ago, they killed Dr. Lee Hanna, and we showed mercy. Yesterday, they killed Dr. Choi Sung-woo, our Valari friends, and 2,000 innocent humans. They have shown us that they view our restraint as weakness. The president looked around the chamber at the representatives of every human colony and space station. The time for restraint is over. The Corvan Empire wants to teach us about consequences. Very well. Let us teach them the same lesson. The vote for full military mobilization was unanimous. Commander Song Mina stood on the bridge of the UES Vengeance, watching the stars change from points of light to long streaks as her ship jumped to faster-than-light speed. Around her, the bridge crew worked with calm efficiency, but she could feel their excitement beneath the surface. Today was the day humanity stopped hiding what it had become. Commander called Lieutenant Park Hyogen from the communication station. We are receiving confirmation signals from all fleet elements. Operation Lightning is ready to begin. Song looked at the tactical display, showing the positions of human ships throughout Corvan space. 6 months of careful planning had placed Earth Defense Fleet vessels near every major Corvan military base, supply depot, and communication relay. The Corvans had no idea they were surrounded. All ships. This is Commander Song, she announced over the fleet communication network. Today, we honor the memory of Dr. Lee Hanna, Dr. Choi Sung-woo, and all the innocent people the Corvan Empire has murdered. Today, we show them that humanity's patience has limits. The response came instantly from 300 human ships scattered across 12 star systems. For Earth, for the fallen, for the future. What the Corvan Empire did not understand was that humanity had spent 5 years doing much more than just building new ships. They had been learning from the Valari, studying Corvan tactics, and most importantly, preparing for the kind of war that had never been fought before. The first Corvan patrol to encounter the new human fleet was a squadron of 8 heavy cruisers near the mining system of Vega 7. They detected the approaching human ships and immediately moved to intercept. Confident in their superior numbers and firepower, Captain Kim Dong-woo commanded the human task force approaching Vega 27, his flagship. The UES Retribution looked similar to older human vessels from the outside, but appearances were deceiving. Corvan vessels. This is Captain Kim of the Earth Defense Fleet. He broadcast on standard communication channels. You are ordered to surrender immediately. Corvan response was predictable. Human ship, you are outnumbered 4-1. Surrender, or be destroyed. Captain Kim smiled coldly. I was hoping you would say that. The battle began when the Corvan ships opened fire with their plasma cannons, expecting to overwhelm the 2 human vessels with superior firepower. But something impossible happened. The human ships seemed to know exactly where the Corvan weapons would fire before the shots were taken. They moved away from incoming fire with perfect timing, as if they could see the future. How are they doing that? Demanded the Corvan squadron commander. The answer was in the Valari technology that Dr. Sung-woo had perfected before his death. Human ships could now communicate with each other instantly, sharing sensor data and tactical information faster than thought itself. Every human ship in the fleet knew what every other ship could see, but the real surprise came when the human ships returned fire. The UES Retribution's main cannon charged with energy that made space itself ripple like water. When it fired, the beam did not just destroy the lead Corvan ship. It punched clean through 3 vessels and continued traveling until it struck an asteroid 50,000 kilometers away, turning the rock into glowing dust. Impossible, whispered the surviving Corvan commander. Human weapons are not that powerful. They had been, once upon a time. But 5 years of studying Valari crystal technology had taught human engineers how to focus energy in ways that defied old physics. The weapons on modern human ships did not just fire energy. They fired concentrated reality, bending the laws of nature to create destruction on a scale the Corvans had never imagined. The 8 Corvin ships were destroyed in less than 4 minutes. Not one escaped to warn their command structure. Similar scenes played out across Corvin space as human task forces struck simultaneously at dozens of targets. But the humans were not just destroying ships. They were sending a message at the Corvin communications hub on Rigel 4. Commander Yang Jamin led a precision strike that knocked out the Empire's ability to coordinate their scattered forces. The attack was surgical, destroying only military targets while leaving civilian areas untouched. All Corvin civilian vessels in this system, Yang broadcast after the military base was destroyed. You are free to leave. Earth has no quarrel with non-combatants. But carry this message to your leaders. The age of Corvin expansion is over. Hey. The shipyards orbiting Altair, Captain Lee Minho led an assault that destroyed 12 new Corvin warships while they were still under construction. The human attack was so swift and coordinated that the Corvin Defense Fleet never had time to respond. But the most shocking attack came at the Corvin Forward Command Base in the Wolf system. Admiral Park Ji-ho himself led this assault, bringing the full might of the human battle fleet against the Empire's most heavily defended installation. The Corvin base was protected by 40 warships, orbital defense platforms, and energy shields that could withstand the explosion of a small moon. It should have been impossible to capture. The human fleet appeared at the edge of that system and immediately split into 3 groups. The Corvin commander, General Vex Thane, watched with amusement as the humans seemed to divide their forces in the face of superior opposition. Humans are even more foolish than I thought, Thane told his officers. They are giving us the chance to destroy them, one group at a time. But Admiral Park has studied every detail of Corvin military doctrine. He knew exactly how they would respond to his approach. When the Corvin fleet moved to engage what they thought was the weakest human formation, they found themselves caught in a trap that had been 5 years in the making. The human ships did not fight like any fleet the Corvins had faced before. They moved as if controlled by a single mind, anticipating every Corvin tactic and responding with countermeasures that seemed impossible. Human vessels appeared and disappeared from sensor readings like ghosts, striking from impossible angles and vanishing before return fire could reach them. The Valari had taught humanity more than just communication technology. They had shared their understanding of space itself, showing human engineers how to fold distance and bend time. Human ships could now move through dimensions that normal physics said did not exist in 30 minutes. The entire Corvin defense fleet was destroyed. The orbital platforms were reduced to drifting scrap metal. The energy shields collapsed under weapons that attacked from directions that should not have been possible. General Vex Thane found himself standing on the bridge of a crippled space station, watching human Marines in advanced armor boarding his command center. These were not the weak, peaceful humans he remembered from 5 years ago. I am Admiral Park Ji-ho of the Earth Defense Fleet, the human commander said as he removed his helmet. 5 years ago, your people killed a woman named Dr. Lee Hana. Yesterday, you killed a man named Dr. Choi Sung-woo and 2,000 innocent humans. I am here to collect payment for those debts. Kane tried to maintain his dignity, even in defeat. Humans do not take prisoners. You will execute me like the others. Admiral Park shook his head. We are not like you, General. You will live too. Carry a message back to your emperor. Tell him that Earth tried peace and diplomacy. Tell him we showed mercy when we could have shown justice. Tell him that those days are over. Park gestured to his Marines, who placed restraints on the Corvan. General, tell your emperor that humanity is coming for him. Tell him that we will not stop until every world your empire has conquered is free. Tell him that the age of Corvin expansion ended the day you decided to test our patience twice. As General Thane was led away to a transport ship, he looked back at Admiral Park with something that might have been respect. "How long have you been planning this?" "Since the day you killed Dr. Lee Hanna," Park replied. "We spent 5 years learning everything we could about your empire, your tactics, your weaknesses. We studied every battle you had ever fought. We prepared for every possible response you might make. But most importantly," Park continued, "we spent 5 years becoming something you never expected us to become. You thought humans were weak because we chose diplomacy over violence. You thought our restraint meant we were afraid to fight." Admiral Park looked out at the stars through the damaged viewport of the command center. "You were wrong about us, General. We were never weak. We're just choosing to be gentle. But gentleness, like patience, has its limits." The general was silent as he was loaded onto the transport ship that would carry him back to Corvin space. Around him, he could see the wreckage of the most powerful military installation in the Empire, destroyed by a human fleet that had appeared out of nowhere and vanished just as quickly as his ship jumped to faster than light speed, carrying him toward the Corvin homeworld with news of the disaster. General Thane realized something that filled him with dread. The humans had not just won this battle. They had won it so easily that it looked effortless. And if this was what humanity could do when they stopped holding back, then the Corvan Empire was in more trouble than anyone had imagined. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when humanity decided that enough was enough. Fleet Admiral Kong Jinho stood on the observation deck of the UES Liberation, watching the blue and green planet of Corvan Prime grow larger through the transparent aluminum windows. Behind him, the largest military fleet in human history waited, in perfect formation, 500 ships, each one carrying weapons that could reshape worlds. But Admiral Kong was not thinking about weapons or war. He was thinking about two people who would never see this moment. Dr. Lee Hanna, who had discovered the Valari and died trying to protect them. Dr. Choi Sung-woo, who had given humanity the tools to win this war and died defending his alien friends. "Admiral," came the voice of Captain Yu Sunmi from the bridge. "All fleet elements are in position. We are ready to begin the final phase." Kong touched the small crystal pendant hanging around his neck. It was a fragment of the last Valari who had died protecting Research Station Alpha. The crystal no longer glowed, but it reminded him why humanity was here. "Begin transmission on all frequencies," Kang ordered. "I want every being on that planet to hear this message." The communication reached every radio, television, computer, and personal device on Corvin Prime, in homes, offices, military bases, and government buildings. The same message played in perfect Corvin language. "People of the Corvin Empire, this is Fleet Admiral Kung Jinho of the Earth Defense Fleet. 6 months ago, your military forces killed Dr. Lee Hanna on Kepler 4 for 2B. We showed mercy and sought peace. 1 week ago, your forces killed Dr. Choi Sung-woo and 2,000 innocent humans. We will not show mercy twice." Emperor Vex Malthorn sat in his throne room, surrounded by his military advisors and government officials. They had been receiving reports of disasters across the empire for days, entire fleets disappearing without a trace, military bases destroyed in minutes, communications networks going dark. "How many ships do the humans have in orbit?" the emperor asked his defense minister. "Our sensors detect 500 vessels, my emperor, but our analysts believe there may be more ships hidden using technology we do not understand." The emperor had ruled the Corvan Empire for 30 years. He had conquered dozens of worlds and defeated every enemy who challenged him. Pete, as he listened to the human admiral's words, he felt something he had not experienced in decades: fear. "We are not here to destroy your world or harm your people," Admiral Khan continued his broadcast. We're here to ensure that the Corvan Empire never again threatens innocent life. You have shown the galaxy that your word cannot be trusted, and your promises mean nothing. Therefore, we will not accept your surrender. We will not negotiate with your leaders. We will simply take what we came for. General Vex Thane, who had been released by Admiral Park with orders to carry Earth's message to the Emperor, stood beside the throne with his head down in shame. Key had delivered the human warning, but no one had believed that Earth could actually threaten the mighty Corvan Empire. Now, with 500 human warships surrounding their homeworld, the truth was impossible to deny. What do they want? The Emperor demanded. The answer came immediately as Admiral Kong's voice continued to broadcast. The Corvan Empire will cease to exist as of today. Your military forces will be disbanded and your weapons destroyed. Every world you have conquered will be freed. Every species you have enslaved will choose their own government. Your expansion into other territories will end permanently. The Emperor stood up from his throne, rage burning in his eyes. They cannot simply dissolve our empire. We are the strongest military force in this sector of the galaxy. We're, my Emperor, General Thane said quietly. We were the strongest. I saw what their ships can do. I watched them destroy our most powerful fleet like it was made of paper toys. On the planet's surface, people stood in the streets looking up at the sky. Even without telescopes, they could see the human fleet as tiny points of light that had not been there yesterday. The ships were not hiding or positioning for attack. They were simply waiting. The leaders of the Corvan Empire have exactly 1 hour to begin the process of dissolution, Admiral Kong announced. If they refuse, we will make the decision for them. But understand this, people of Corvan Prime, Earth has no hatred for civilians who had no choice in your government's actions. Our quarrel is with those who ordered the deaths of innocent beings. Emperor Malthorn turned to his military council. How long would it take to mobilize our home defense fleet? My Emperor, stammered the fleet commander. Our home defense fleet was destroyed yesterday when they tried to stop the human advance. We have 43 ships remaining in the entire empire. 43 ships against 500. My Emperor, the numbers do not matter. Their weapons are beyond anything we understand. They destroyed a battlecruiser yesterday with a single shot from a ship 1/10 its size. The Emperor walked to the great window of his throne room and looked up at the sky. Somewhere up there, the humans waited with weapons that could crack his planet like an egg. But they were not firing. They were not demanding tribute or territory. They simply wanted the empire to end. Why are they not attacking? He asked. General Thane answered. Because they are not like us, my Emperor. Do not enjoy destruction. They fight only when they must, and they stop fighting the moment their enemy can no longer threaten others. As if responding to their conversation, Admiral Kong's voice returned to the broadcast. We know that many worlds in your empire were conquered against their will. We know that many species served the Corvan military because they had no other choice. To those beings, we offer freedom and protection under Earth's guarantee. You will not be punished for the crimes of your leaders. In the streets of cities across Corvan Prime, something remarkable began to happen. Soldiers began removing their weapons and walking away from their posts. Government officials left their offices and went home to their families. The enslaved species who had been forced to serve the empire started gathering in public squares, singing songs of liberation in languages that had been forbidden for generations. The Corvan Empire was dissolving itself. Emperor Malthorn watched his life's work crumble in a single day. But as he saw the faces of the freed beings celebrating in his capital city, he realized something that shocked him. Many of his own people looked happier than they had in years. My Emperor, said General Thane, the humans are requesting a response to their ultimatum. The Emperor closed his eyes and thought about the choices that had led to this moment. 5 years ago, his forces had killed one human scientist, and Earth had accepted an apology. He could have stopped there. He could have honored the peace. Instead, he had seen their mercy as a weakness and decided to test them again. "Send a message to the human admiral," the Emperor said finally. "Tell him that the Corvan Empire formally surrenders and agrees to all their terms." Admiral Kong received the surrender message exactly 57 minutes after his ultimatum had been delivered. He had expected it to take longer. "Admiral, Captain, you reported from the bridge. We are receiving surrender signals from Corvan military installations across the sector. It appears they are disbanding their entire military structure voluntarily. Any resistance?" "None, sir. The few commanders who tried to fight were overwhelmed by their own soldiers who wanted to surrender." Kong nodded and activated the fleet communication system. "All ships, this is Admiral Kong. The Corvan Empire has surrendered. Begin implementation of restoration protocol immediately." What followed was unlike any military occupation in galactic history. Instead of conquering and controlling, the human fleet began the process of healing. Ships were dispatched to every former Corvan world, carrying not weapons but engineers, doctors, teachers, and diplomats. The humans did not want to rule the former empire. They wanted to help each world choose its own future. 3 months later, Admiral Kong stood in the memorial garden on Earth, in front of a crystal monument dedicated to Dr. Lee Hanna and Dr. Choi Sung-woo. The monument had been grown using the last fragments of Valari crystal, and it pulsed with soft light that seemed to contain memories of all the lives that had been lost. President Yoon Dae-ho joined him at the memorial. "The former Corvan worlds are requesting to join the Galactic Peace Alliance we proposed. All of them. All 47 systems. They want Earth to guarantee their independence and help them establish democratic governance." Kong touched the crystal monument and whispered, "We did it, friends. We kept our promise." A year later, the last Corvan warship was converted into a hospital ship. The Emperor Malthorn had been tried by a council of representatives from every species his empire had oppressed. But instead of execution, he was sentenced to spend the rest of his life helping rebuild the worlds he had destroyed. The galaxy learned something important from the Corvan War. Humanity's greatest strength was not their weapons or their technology. It was their ability to forgive once, remember always, and ensure that forgiveness was never taken for granted. The memorial on Earth became a place of pilgrimage for beings from across the galaxy. They came to honor the memory of 2 humans who had died trying to make friends with aliens, and to remember the lesson their deaths had taught the universe. Some species are gentle because they are weak. Others are gentle because they are strong. Humanity had shown the galaxy the difference, and the galaxy would never forget.